Welcome to IB Today Podcast, Let's Talk. This is your host Mohammad Afan, and today we're doing a special episode regarding embedded finance. So we have one of our company owners of an embedded finance company, Miss Vladimira Briestenska, founder of Neem. Miss Vladimira, can you introduce yourself to the audience who don't know you?
Sure. So my name is Vladimira Briestenska. I'm, as you mentioned, one of the co-founders of Neem, which is truly an embedded finance platform based out of here in Pakistan, but built for the wider emerging markets. Beyond that, I wear many hats, and I have sort of lots of identities, originally from beautiful Slovakia in Central Eastern Europe. And my journey to Pakistan, which I'm sure we are going to discuss, was not straightforward, but it was a beautiful, diverse journey. So entrepreneur, I would say today, that's the key hat that I wear.
Right. So you spent your time in the UK as well. We've heard about.
Yes.
So how was? Did you study there? What was the?
Not really. So I studied in different countries. I started in Czech Republic, but I also did my master's in human rights in a place like Italy, in Venice, which is quite surreal. You are moving to school by Vaporetto, which is sort of the small boat which they use in Venice, and then and then also in Vienna. So different places, but I did work in London. I was working in a fintech, one of the very first fintech funds called Anthemis Group, and my role was to work with fintech entrepreneurs who we invested into and support their journey from sort of day one to scaling their businesses. And that was also the moment when I met my current co-founder and also my life partner, which is important to sort of stress, Nadeem Sheikh, with whom I am building Neem today in Pakistan.
Right. So my brother also studied at Vienna, so I get the idea. And he used to study at Vienna, and then he went to Hungary as well, and then he went to Germany. So I've seen people in Europe move around for educational purposes. But let's talk about your experience from coming from the let's just say the other part of the world and coming to this part of the world, the eastern side of the world. How's your experience been in Pakistan in building this company Neem at this point?
I think one of the things that was sort of the first barrier that I felt that was important for me, even personally, to break is that Pakistan and sort of the region has a really sort of negative PR in the world where I come from. And I felt that that's really unfortunate because from the very first days, the first weeks that I spent, I landed in Islamabad. I didn't build Neem on my first days in Pakistan. I was actually working with Jazz Cash, the mobile wallet, for a year. So that was my sort of entry point. And it was a very enriching experience. I think I was really surprised by the diversity that Pakistan has from its nature from the top, the 8,000, peaks that you have to the sort of lands of Sindh and access to the sea. But then even more so the ethnic diversity, the variety of people and talent that I was working with, I was meeting every day. I was really impressed by it. So I think that was one of the sort of key surprise elements for me, and I started sort of then digging deeper into getting to know the country better and communities. And so far, it's been now, I think, 4.5 years. We discussed this before recording, and it's been really positive experience. Whenever I go back to my home in Europe, people still ask me, so how is it you, the blonde white woman, building business in Pakistan? And I said, it's a really great experience. I mean, I'm learning tons. I feel that the opportunity for us to create impact and scale is immense. I feel like a global citizen. I have to remind myself sometimes that I look different from you guys. So I'm trying to be aware of that and the privileges, of course, that it has. But so short answer to your question, the experience has been really positive.
So let's just talk about how was the idea. You worked at Jazz Cash, but how did the idea of Neem came about, and what was the purpose behind it?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it doesn't happen that just something drops from the top of the tree and you are like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna build Neem. especially Neem, which comes from a tree. The name comes from the Neem tree that I learned about later in life. So Neem's one of the key sort of pillars behind Neem is or behind our purpose is what we call financial wellness. So when I mentioned when I was working in London, it was within the financial services space, and we were investing into companies already, and this was about 2015. We started realizing that if you want to positively impact people's life through financial services, you have to go beyond just giving them access to a bank account, which a lot of people refer to as financial inclusion. So we started looking, what does that financial health or financial wellness look like? And we realized that it is not only the ability to make payments, but it is the ability for anyone to have access to meaningful credit, to insure your health or your household against any risk that can happen to you, be able to sort of create small savings and potentially invest. So that pyramid, so we call it a financial wellness pyramid, is something that we started looking into a few years ago. When we came to Pakistan, that financial wellness vision for Nadeem and I was already embedded in us. So it was something we wanted to do in the context of a country like Pakistan, where again the scale is massive and the need is really sort of proponent. So we started doing it with Just Cash. We tried, and I dare to say that I think on individual level of impacting individual lives of few people, we were successful. But after that year, we also met our third co-founder, Naeem Zamindar, that maybe some of your audience know. He's a persona known in Pakistan through many layers. So we met Naeem, and he was also very passionate about the vision of financial wellness for a country like Pakistan, where you have more than 120 people 120 million people. It would be good if we come to 120 people, but it's in millions, who are underbanked. Right. So the question around why we are doing this was very clear. I think it was just that moment after the year in Pakistan with the experience with Just Cash to say, are we passionate enough, and in this phase of life do we want to build something on our own? And that was sort of the important, I would say, sort of shifting point when we said, okay, let's do this, let's build Neem. Right. And that was about 3 years ago.
So the audience who don't know what embedded finance is, can you tell us what does actually Neem is? As a platform, what does Neem do?
Yeah, so you will know, and probably many of you will be sort of customers of non-financial companies and businesses in Pakistan. I'll give some examples. So some of you will be using Foodpanda. You will be using Careem or InDriver, which is becoming more and more trendy. You will be maybe using Bahar Kisan, which is an agri-tech platform out of Islamabad that is today serving about 16 million farmers across Pakistan. And I could go on and on and on. So there are non-financial businesses that provide some meaningful service or products to you. You might want to at some point take an open account while you're using Foodpanda. You might want to have your own account. You might want to take a small loan. You might want to insure yourself. This happens in the agriculture space, for instance, for the farmers. Farmers are very keen to take small loans, or for instance, insure their crops against bad weather, right? I mean, with the floods, we experience this massively. The farmer will not go to, let's say, insurance company, or the farmer will necessarily not be welcome in all of the branches. They might not be even accessible in some of the rural areas. So what we are doing as embedded finance, coming back to the story, is that we identify that there is a trust and relationship, let's say if I use the example of the farmer, between the farmer or you and Foodpanda, or farmer and Bahar Kisan. And we as Neem can empower Bahar Kisan or Foodpanda by integrating financial services into their platform, which they can then provide to you as an end user. So that's so in essence, embedded finance means that financial services are integrated in a primarily non-financial organizations, entities, businesses, brands that can then provide data-rich and very customized, meaningful financial services products.
To have that, do you guys have the banking insurance licenses, or do you don't need?
Yes, yes, yes. Of course, you have to be sort of licensed. You have to have some regime. So in our case, we were trying to be quite innovative in a way. It was the experience from JazzCash. So similar to the relationship that JazzCash has with Mobilink Bank, there's a license called branchless banking license or relationship. So we have the one of the banks, which allows us to have a payment infrastructure and open accounts. And for lending, inshallah, in the next few days, we'll have an MBFC license, hopefully. So that allows us to lend.
Right, so we talked about JazzCash, but how do you think anyone at right now can differentiate from Neem? Like, how does Neem differentiate from, let's just say, if I just directly want Sada Pay, and if I directly want to work with any other fintech company, how does Neem differentiate to the fact that, I should be a user of Neem rather than any other platform?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. Because in most cases, you will not see Neem on the market. You will not sort of have the opportunity. We will not be marketing towards you. You will come in contact with Neem if you are a user of Bahar Kisan, for instance, as the farmer, and at some point you are already using the service. You are paying 1 rupee a day for advisory services about the weather, how to take care of your livestock, or you are a customer of Kareem, for that matter, and you're taking the rights, and Kareem tells you, in order to pay or to take a small loan or to insure yourself, open a Neem account. So you'll be nudged through your relationship with the existing platform, like Kareem, like Food Panda, like Bahar Kisan, like One Load, for that matter, for the micro SME sector, for Kiana stores. So the difference between Sada Pay that you know of, because they market directly to you, Neem is embedded in strong use cases. So only when needed, based on the data that we have from the platforms, from the existing businesses, only then you will be nudged to open the account.
Right. So what role do you think Neem is going to play in the ecosystem in Pakistan?
Hopefully a meaningful one. So as many players on the market, we are really aware of the fact that so many people and businesses are excluded of having access to the financial wellness that we talked about. We believe that we can be complementary to a lot of direct-to-consumer plays, like you said, for instance, Sada Pay, Nea Pay, but D-Bank is on the market, and many other players will come up. We took the other route. We took the route of really uplifting the trust they believe that the end user already has with their favorite brands.
Has that, sorry to interrupt, has that helped you to help with your unit economics?
Oh, very much so. So the thing is that one of the key differentiator, or I would say unique advantages of embedded finance approach globally, and especially in emerging markets, is that the cost of acquisition of the end user, the famous CAC buzzword, is very small. Because we don't spend nearly any money on any marketing. We spend money on building trust and relationship with the middle sort of layer, the B2B, and then we reach the C. The C is already there, the customer is there, because Bahar Kisan invested 5 years in building relationship with 16 million farmers. So for Neem to go, that will be really hard.
So let's talk about, we talked about why I came here to this studio. Let's talk about the financial literacy point, right? So, what role do you think financial literacy is going to play in order for these fintech companies in Pakistan to prosper?
I think massive.
I was just recently on the Pakistan FinTech Forum conference.
Yes, I was there.
Yes.
You came on the second day,
I did.
On the first day.
I did, and we had the first panel. We didn't have a much audience, although the topic was really important. It was the financial inclusion of women in Pakistan. And one thing that we talked about was that even though you bring people, and let's say women in this case, on into the financial system, so let's say you in some way enable them to open a bank account, by numbers we know from other countries that having access doesn't equal usage. And that's where the relationship with financial literacy comes in. Because if somebody is not educated or trained, right, it's not sort of the access is not available in a way that is meaningful to you to know how you actually operate with this new product or service. I mean, you will go probably interact in a cash in, cash out manner. You will get out of the system. You will not see the benefits that it has to you. So I think the financial literacy is massive component. or component. I don't think we can go and reach our financial wellness goals without it.
Right. So let's talk about the number one challenges that Neem has in order to expand across Pakistan. What do you think the number one challenges that you face?
Good question. If I'm thinking today, I think the challenge that we are facing is a little bit related to the macro perception around Pakistan. So we are still raising funds, even though our seed round, we have the sort of big portion of it already covered, and we were able to attract some really great investors, thought leaders from a fintech space. We are still in the fundraising sort of journey, and it's not easy to evangelize people about the fact that there is a lot of potential in Pakistan. People get scared by the macroeconomics. So if I think about the potential risk, I think it's about being able to attract enough capital that allows us to grow, because we need that. I'm not worried, to be honest, about the execution, although I think that's the alma mater for every business. But I'm very confident about the team that we have. I mean, if you come, and you should visit us, the determination and the fire that our team has, which is, I think, linked to the purpose of the business very much so. So I feel like every day, and we are trying to instill it. It doesn't happen just like that. But we talk nearly every day about not just what we are doing, but why we are doing this. And I think that that helps people to really be driven and show up every day with that yes mindset, and execute on that big vision. It's very meaningful. So I'm not worried about execution. I think it's about, if anything, then it's ability for us to control the things that which are in some way out of our control, like the macroeconomics.
Right. So let's talk about, when we talk about global economics at this point, let's talk about the recent, let's talk about how blockchain is going to help. Do you think you're going to use blockchain in the future for your platform?
Certainly not in any close future. So I when you shared with me some of your thoughts for this conversation, and I thought this topic there, I was thinking I'm going to tell you, let's skip it, but actually let's not skip it. I think it's meaningful to say it, like, why did I want to skip it. I think for us at Neem, this whole crypto space represents still quite a lot of, I would say, roller coaster, or it's a show that is happening sort of aside. It's not that we are blind to it, but we haven't seen yet many meaningful, strong use cases. Our tech team is like super sophisticated, and they are looking like what's a few steps ahead. So we do have those conversations in some of our leadership strategy forums, but not any near future. So it's not something that comes in a daily conversation for us.
Right. So do you have any opinion regarding the FTX collapse?
I think my opinion is that we didn't pay much attention. We've seen the cycles happening before.
2018 was one of the most famous.
Yeah. So I think our view is that, and I think this will probably to a lot of other entrepreneurs that you talk to, is that your opportunity, of course, where you put your attention throughout the day is one of the key priorities. And the answer for us is that we are super focused on what we are doing right now, right here. The basic payments infrastructure is not working. So speaking about the crypto to embed it there, I think it's too stretched. So no, we don't pay much attention, not at this point.
So let's talk towards the end of the episode. I wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for people who are young founders, and then any advice for people who want to join your team at Neem?
Okay. I think I could share many, but the one thing that came to my mind straight as you asked me that question is take care of yourself first. I think is the topic that we discussed before recording, is the mental health of founders. I will use the opportunity to bring it up because I don't think we talk enough about it. And founders are a special beast. They are exposed to much more pressure on this journey, and a lot of stress. So I would say don't disregard your health and well-being, whether that means your mental health, emotional and physical. Take care of yourself first, because your business will need you. But if you are not in the good shape, you can't give, right? It's that basic formula of when you're on the plane and they tell you, in case of emergency, take the oxygen mask first and only then give it to your child. I think it's sort of counterintuitive, because you want to take care of your child. And by lots of research, we know that a lot of entrepreneurs, the emotional relationship we have with our business could be compared to the relationship to a child. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of that you might be putting yourself into sort of secondary priority in your life, and that's not the way you should go.
So any advice for people who want to join your team?
Well, I mean, reach out. I'm available. I love to talk to people. I mean, I think be curious, use the channels. We're available. We're trying to be really open to people. You can reach out to any of my team members. Even though you don't see a role that we publish, please do reach out. I mean, we in this way we have connected to many partners, but also future colleagues. So yeah, Vladimira@neem.io. That's the road.
Right. Acha, we have some rapid fire questions that I didn't add in your question. So, Acha, anything that comes to your mind when I say this word? Islamic finance.
Need.
Acha. Mobile wallets.
Digital.
Okay. Embedded finance.
Important.
All right. Insurtech.
Insurtech. Nothing. I saw a white color. That's weird.
Okay.
A word. Maybe still unknown.
Financial literacy.
Absolutely critical.
Okay. IB today.
IBA today? Fun! It was a lot of fun.
All right. Before we end, do you want to add something else to the audience if we had missed anything?
No, maybe just to thank you for doing this show. I think it's brilliant that you are putting, emphasis and highlight what's happening in the ecosystem, because it's really exciting. And I think for especially the youth of Pakistan today, the option of what you can do in your life, it has expanded to, let's say, what your parents could do. So be a listener, follow all the speakers and companies, do your research, and I think you can expand what your life could look like.
All right. So thank you, Vladimira, to be on the show. It took 2-3 months to get you on the show, but it was worth it. It was worth the wait. And thank you for coming in, and all those who joined in for the conversation. I hope you loved the conversation. Please share your comments about Vladimira. If you want to get in contact with her, we'll share her email in the description box as well. Stay tuned. See you in the next episode. Allah Hafiz.